Alrighty, hey everyone. Sorry, running a little late. Trying to catch up on everything and getting everything ready tonight and doing some stuff behind the scenes as well. But man, okay, so end of the month is upon us. Excuse me. Today's the end of July. What did Bitcoin do? Bitcoin basically went down and almost filled the Bitcoin futures gap. So we'll take a look at what's going on there. We were just shy of filling it completely, but I think that's a good thing anyways. We might come back down a little bit more and fill that gap. We'll talk about it, obviously. Bitcoin went down, miners went down as well throughout the day. Riot provided their quarterly results. It went down after hours quite a bit. We'll talk about that. We have some news on Cipher. There's been a lot of selling in Cipher stock actually here this past couple of weeks, or at least this last week or two. We'll talk about that. Trump put out some new tariffs out there again, so that kind of sent things going down. What else do we have? We got Cleanspark news as well, MicroStrategy news, some bullish news on Bitcoin as well, and then we'll get into Q&A, all that stuff. So we'll get through it all. I'm trying to catch my breath here while I was getting ready. All right, here we go. Not financial advice for entertainment only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And Bitcoin's actually kind of bouncing up right now, so it's looking pretty good here. We can see here that Bitcoin did get down to a low of 114,136.20. Our CME futures gap, though, was right pretty close to that. Here's our CME futures gap. It got to a high of 114,380, and where did we get today? To a low. Let me see, where was that low today? 114, 136. So, I mean, we were just so close to filling that gap on today. Now, if you notice something interesting here, which I did, I don't know if you guys noticed it as well, but at least the last couple of months or so, Bitcoin, when it's getting towards the end of the month, it kind of falls down. So we had a fall here, obviously, just a couple of days before the end of the month. We had a fall at least 2 days here before the end of June, and in July we started going back up. So hopefully this turns into the same thing where we get into actually August and we start going back up higher, right? We saw this happening here as well, right before end of May. We were going down in price, then we kind of went up a little bit here the last 2 days of May, but we were going down into the end of May. Down here, if you look at it also in April, we were kind of going down as well a little bit before we started going back up here. So then if you go back over here to March, we were going down into the month of May, or month of March, and we were going back up. So this is just like a rinse and repeat thing happening here with Bitcoin right now, the last couple of months at least, what I'm seeing. Right? You guys might be seeing something different, but I'm seeing that. Plus, we finished out the month here on Bitcoin in the green here. Let's go to the monthly here. We were up for the month about 8% on it as it closed. We did finish out a new all-time high on Bitcoin, 115,740, whatever it was, so 115,761. So that's good, right? New all-time high on Bitcoin on the monthly close. That's great to see. What else do we have here? That's basically it on it. So I think it's just a little correction happening there. I like the fact that the CME futures almost got filled. I would have liked to have seen that fill completely here, but we got pretty close on. If we zoom in pretty close, we can see that the line is right there, and we're just like $100 off that line. So maybe tomorrow or today, actually on a new day, because we're looking at Friday for August 1st, maybe we still come down and actually fill that gap here. But we talked about this gap being potentially filled here in the past couple weeks, right? I said that there's a possibility that might get filled. I don't like having gaps over the weekends on Bitcoin because they do like to get filled, and this one almost got completely filled here. So we might fill that and then continue going up here. I think there's just so much accumulation happening here in Bitcoin, so much buying in Bitcoin and everything else, that there's just no way in the HELL sticks that things are going to be going the south on us. So I'm still locked on bullish on Bitcoin. I'm actually looking to start buying some more Bitcoin here. Actually, I want to possibly set up something where I'm going to be buying every week, whether it's going to be a couple $100 or whatever I can afford, basically. But I want to just continue to accumulate here. I think that's the only way to do it. And then also see where the miners are, obviously. All right, so there's that. That's what's happening. I think the tariffs up with Trump is what kind of freaked everybody out. That's why we went down here. But you can see the markets were all down. I think the market's probably in the red right now in the after hours as well. Miners, for the most part, all in the red in the after hours as well. Let's see, Ethereum here closed out the day in the red. It was down 2.95% here. On the last day, it's up a little bit here as well, like Bitcoin is right now. And then the miners, we had some miners were actually in the green today, and some were actually up nicely, but a lot of them were in the red here. So Bitfarms was actually in the green another day here, got higher than where it ended up at, but it closed down, or went up, 5% on the day, so that was great. BitDeer was down 1.45%. King was up just a little bit, 0.84. Cipher, same thing, up a little bit. You can see all the sell pressure here on Cipher. I think I know why. We're going to talk about it. There's been a lot of selling by certain individuals or certain corporations there. We're going to talk about it. Cleanspark was down 0.44%. CORZ was down up 3.72%. Hive was down 2.28%. Hut 8 was up 7.11%. Not sure what happened there. I didn't see any news or anything like that that would make the stock run. Let's see. Presser, this was from July 23rd. We talked about it. At that point, IREN was down 0.19%. It was actually in the green here during the day, and then as Bitcoin was going down, so did they. Mara finished out the day down 2.84%. Riot was down 0.81%, and it's down even more now after hours. We'll take a look at that here shortly. Wolf was up 2.99%. And then we got MicroStrategy being up 1.73. They reported their earnings also, huge earnings there as well. They're going to be buying more Bitcoin. They're also doing something interesting as well. Saylor, I think it was a quote from Saylor stating that going forward, depending on what their MNAV is and what that value, if it's below $2 or below 2x MNAV, they're going to be they may not pull on the ATM. If they're above 2x, if they're like 4x, they'll pull on it slightly, but then if they're like 4x above, they're going to go hard on that ATM at that point. So kind of interesting strategy there to do it that way, and actually letting it be known as well. Galaxy was down 1.73. Coin was up 0.07. They also had pretty good numbers there as well. Stock was down actually, I think, in the after hours there though. However, MetaPlanet was down another 5.91%. Exodus was up today 6%, kind of bouncing back from where it was yesterday. Then we got Semler being up, down 0.17%. The blockchain group was up. They changed their symbol there, maybe, but they were up 8%. Phoenix was down 8.25%. Small miners were in the green for the most part. Argo being up 6% the most there, along with Canon being up 5%. There's a news story. Did we talk about it yesterday? Maybe not. Cleanspark is buying some more Canon machines, and I think Riot, is it Riot? No, Riot's buying MicroBT, I think. We'll talk about that, obviously. When we cover Riot's quarterly results, we'll talk about that. They actually have some growth happening here later on this year, which is good. What else do we have here? The ETFs for Bitcoin miners were in the green today, but I'm sure they're going to finish up in the red tomorrow unless Bitcoin really bounces from here and they actually stay green, but we'll see. Ethereum holding companies, mixed again. Digital was up a little bit, 2.46, bouncing off the 50-day simple moving average. BTCS down again, 5.38%. BMNR was up just a little bit, 0.7%. Game was down 9.68%. That one is bouncing on the 200 and the 100 simple day moving averages, looks like. And SBET is down 3.83%. And Bitcoin dominance here is actually, let's see, for Thursday was up a little bit. We're down a little bit here in the new day for Friday as it is right now. Okay, what else do we have here? I think that's it on these guys as far as what I can tell. Let's take a look at the miners here after hours really quick, see where they're doing. Bitdeer's down 2% right now as it is. Bitfarms is actually down 0.71%. We got Kango being down 0.83%. Cipher being down another 4%, it looks like right now. Cleanspark being down 2.64%. Core being down 1.85%. Hive Digital being down 1.4%. Hut 8 down 1.5%. IREN being down 3.29%. Mara being down, let's see where this one finishes up at. It's catching up. Where's it going to land? All right, it was down 0.87 right now. Riot is down, let's see where this one ends up at. About 8.5% right now, so it's getting back a little bit. And then TeraWolf is down 1.16%. Let's see your Bitcoin. We'll get to this here in a second, but Bitcoin right now ended month of July up 7.95%. Kind of lackluster, right? And that's kind of what we're seeing here recently, at least with Bitcoin the last, if we look, 6-7 months or so. We had 7.9 up in July, 2.49 in June. May, 10.99. That was actually pretty good. April was probably our best month here, 14.08. We were down in March, 2.3. February down 17.39. And in January we're up to 9.29%. If we go back to some other years where we had a nice bull runs in those years, corresponding to this one would be like 2021. We were up 14.5% in January, 36 in February, 29 in March, right? Huge gains there. And then we had obviously some pullback. We were down 1.98%, down 35%, down 5.9%, almost 6% there. And then July we were up 18, and then August we were up 13. We'll find out where we are in August this time around. But it's definitely a lot lower percentage gains, which is kind of what I was expecting to happen anyways, but we're seeing more value being added based on that, right? Because Bitcoin's at a much higher price as it is right now. So that's kind of, I wouldn't say unexpected, right? But it is, I think, also playing in line with this thought process that I have that we might be in an extended cycle with Bitcoin and just kind of continues going this way for quite a while, right? Where we're down 15, 20% in a month, then we're up 10, 14%, whatever it might be, even 8%, 2% even, but we continue to go in that direction. So we'll see. We'll see where we end up at there. Bitcoin ETF inflows here were in the negative side today. Down 133 million in ETF inflows. We'll see where BlackRock came in with IBIT. And yeah, so that's it for that part. Let's get into some of the bullish stories that we do have here on Bitcoin right now as it is. And we'll get into the minor stories here second. So let's get into the bullish stories on Bitcoin. Here's what we have. Well, this isn't really bullish, but this is what we have as far as Trump tariffs. Full details on the updated tariff policy going into effect tomorrow, August 1st. All nations will receive a standard 10% reciprocal tariff, except for the specific nations outlined in Annex 1. Annex 1 lists 71 specific nations with specific tariff rates. Below is a full list, Annex 1 in alphabetical order. The average tariff rate across all 71 trading partners is 18.76%. So, Bitcoin didn't like that. I'm sure the market's not going to like that either. We'll digest it, but it's not that bad. China and Mexico have received 90-day extensions as negotiations continue and will retain their current trade agreements in the meanwhile. Okay, so that's fine. All USMCA goods are exempt, as are goods in specific industries were specified previously, such as semiconductors from Taiwan and aircraft from Brazil. Transshipped goods to subvert tariffs will be subject to 40% tariffs. Okay, so that's kind of what happened there. We do have possibly two good news stories here. Just in, SEC Chair Paul Atkins says he's in favor of Bitcoin and crypto self-custody. The right to have self-custody of one's private property is a core American value, and I agree. So that's at least good news for crypto, Bitcoin in general, that you can self-custody those, right? So that's awesome to hear. Love seeing that. Next here we got U.S. Director of Digital Assets says President Trump may use tariff revenue to buy Bitcoin. That is one way you can do it. The other way you could do it also is through the Trump Gold Visa immigration card, basically, for people that pay for the $5 million per the card. You could use a portion of that as well, right? You could use 500,000 of that or 100,000 of that to buy a Bitcoin at that point as well. So we haven't heard an update on that recently as far as how many visas have been sold to get in the United States with that Trump Gold Visa card. But they could also use that portion of it, right? That's basically doesn't have any impact on taxpayers. So that's another way to do it. And then we have the final one here, which is going to be on strategy. We talked about that one already. They're going to be offering another $4.2 billion offering. Right? They had great earnings and everything else. We'll see how the stock does tomorrow, though. Next, let's get into some of the Bitcoin miner news that we do have here, and we'll discuss it all. But first, we're going to talk about, obviously, is going to be Cipher here. Cipher, like I showed you guys a little bit ago, is having a lot of sales going on here. In the last couple days, couple weeks even, you could see that. And here's the reason why. I was going through their SEC filings here, and we can see that V3 Holdings, I think this is also Bitfury there. They've been selling a lot here. So this is, when was this posted? This was posted, does it say the date here? It should somewhere. 7/29, 7/30, right? So last 2 days, they sold 66,000 here, 369,000 there. That's roughly, what is that, like 250,000, 350,000, something like that. $2.5 million worth. Sorry. But it's like 330,000 shares, more or less. They sold that there. And you can see here V3 Holdings, Bitfury, top holding company, right? So Bitfury, we talked about them last year when they had like 75% of the shares of the company there. We weren't too happy about that. They eventually did give out the shares to their shareholders, supposedly, excuse me. Supposedly, in doing so, there was supposed to be less sell pressure potentially coming from a single entity, but we're still seeing quite a bit of sell pressure here from Bitfury nonetheless, so they still definitely have a lot. They are greater than 10% owner there, Bitfury. So, yeah, you got that one. Then here's another one. This is from 725. They sold, let's see here. Code transaction, disposed of 500,000 common stock, 500,000, so basically $1 million in shares. So you're looking at roughly $7 million or $6 million something there, right? That was sold off at that point. And then we also have one here this is from 723, another million shares being sold off at 655, 668. Why are they selling? That's the big question there. Why is Bitfury selling? Are they not going to get an HBCI deal like maybe they thought? Because if they thought they were going to get it, they would be in the no, right? Unless they're trying to do something else, they need the capital to do it. That may be another reason. But if you believe that they're going to be getting a deal of some sort, you'd probably want to hold on to it because that's going to catapult the stock up like crazy here. Just me brainstorming and thinking out loud here a little bit. And then we also have this from, who's this from? Bitfury again here. Let's see here. They sold, let me see, what do they have here? I think this is what they report. Percent of class, 13.1%. So they still have over 10% of the shares there. And this was on, when was this dated? Does it say? There should be a date, 7/20/22. So this was before then, before they started selling. So even after they were selling, they still probably own well, a little bit more than 10% of the company there, as it is. Okay, you got those guys, 1.3% of somebody Bitfury here, 13.1%. Yeah, so they're 25.2%. Who's that? Cayman Islands. This is V3 Holdings. They own definitely quite a bit, 25.2%. Who else? 25.2 again here. Yeah, so they still have quite a bit allocation in a couple entities that have a lot of shares in them. And hopefully that subsides. They stop selling it going forward here, at least for a while, let the stock run, because obviously, as we saw here recently, Cipher has been beaten down quite a bit. Okay, so there's that. Just wanted to give you guys info on that what's happening there. Cleanspark provided us details with their quarterly results when those are going to be coming out. That's going to be coming out August 7th on Thursday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. They're going to do a webcast at that point as well. So we'll definitely cover it when it happens. We'll see how they do. And then finally we have here Riot. Riot Platforms released their quarterly results today. Overall, pretty good. One thing that I forgot about it was them basically buying out the hosting customer that they had there, and having to settle with them as well on it. They settled like $140, $160 million, something like that, settlement on there. That took them down a little bit more than where I thought they were going to be, but they still posted positive EPS on that. And I think, based on my numbers, I think they were still positive EPS-wise without the HODL, if we're not including depreciation and stock-based compensation, because even stock-based compensation was kind of nuts. And they actually addressed it here a little bit. Not in the way I would have liked, but at least they're addressing it. So we'll talk about that. You guys can obviously go through this. We'll go through all the details as well. We'll take a look at their presentation deck that they had for the Q2 results. And here's what we got. So Riot has a unique opportunity to drive shareholder value accretion across multiple avenues, right? So they're maximizing the value of every watt in our power portfolio. They're starting to talk like Hut 8 a little bit, right? Where they're trying to monetize all the electrons and watts and megawatts. Transitioning Bitcoin mining to data center operations when economic and feasible. Grow our power pipeline utilizing Bitcoin mining when advantageous. And they are actually doing that. They are going to be getting some more miners. They're going to be growing their hash rate, which is nice. Leveraging our engineering business to manage supply chain for data center deployments and efficient operations. Bitcoin mining cash flow support for the Bitcoin accumulation. Riot holds 19,273. Fourth largest there. Key accomplishments, advancing the data center business. They hired Jonathan Gibbs there as a chief data center officer. They acquired additional 238 acres at Corsicana. So they now have 858 acres. Leading BTC mining efficiency. I wouldn't say leading. I would say they're in the top 5, but I wouldn't say that they're leading. Pretty good cost. 3.5 cents per kilowatt. Hash cost of $25 per day as well. Pretty good there. Pretty financial management. Ended Q2 with 19,273 Bitcoin, 330 million in cash on balance, sold 1,371 Bitcoin at an average price of 96,136. Proceeds of 132 million. Entered into subsequent upsized BTC-backed 200 million in credit facility with Coinbase, and they raised 99 million in gross proceeds via ATM program at an average price of $10.87. So they were pulling on the ATM here a little bit. Going down here, snapshot. We're not going to really go over that. There's something here that I wanted to point out to you guys. You guys can take a look at this as well. Where was it that I saw it? Here it is. All right. Let's see. Improvements in operational uptime and economies of scale being realized. That's about time. Also here, non-cash charges. Stock-based compensation will be significantly reduced from mid 2026. Why wait until mid-2026? You know that investors are kind of PO'd with all the stock-based compensation and how high it is. It's just it's unreal, to be quite honest. I mean, some of these guys are making as much as the CEOs of like Google, Apple. Google's actually pretty low compared to some of the other guys like Apple. No, not Google. It was Amazon. Amazon CEO was pretty low actually, even lower than these guys. And Amazon's are a huge company, so they got to get in line with this. They got to get in line with shareholders, right? I have no problem with them making a lot of money if the shareholders are also making a lot of money and the company's making a lot of money. Until then, you got to nip in the bud. Yes, give the people something to work for, but make it work for them so it also works for the shareholders as well. That's my big thing here. So I'm going to keep pounding this until there's some change here, but it's at least not that they're going to be doing something. But I mean, a year away from now, they're going to do something about it? No. I mean, I understand they maybe have something legally that they have to abide by based by the rules or whatever it might be. But you can also change those. The board can change it. The CEO can possibly change it in combination with all that. So that should be getting done. It shouldn't be taking that long to get it done. That's just my 2 cents. All right, so there's that. What else do we have here? There was something else down here as well. Let's see here. Q3, Q4 forecasted CapEx. They're looking at about 201.6 million there. They're going to purchase miners. Kentucky miner purchase as well. Rockdale infrastructure. So they're talking about building out that. And they are targeting here to get to approximately 40 exahash by the end of the year, which is a nice improvement from where they are right now, 35.4 exahash. So they're going to be increasing by about 5 exahash here by the end of the year. So that's at least some growth, which is nice. And then they're going to get to 45 exahash, and that's a result of them buying out their previous hosting customer, getting the megawatts there. So I think 125 megawatts that they can then obviously put in new machines, and that's what they're going to do. I guess that site is not maybe suited for HPCI workloads or something like that, and that's why they're doing it. So I like seeing that. That's going to be good there. Let's see, and that's it. Data center updates. So aggressive progress in the data center business continues. They have completed engaged consultants, added experience to the board, engaged financial advisors, progressing active infrastructure development, build internal expertise, complete basis of design. So Riot is leveraging internal expertise as well as external consultants to develop potential data center designs that best suit the available infrastructure, and then secure lease with tenant. They're not the only ones looking for this. Obviously, other companies are trying to get the same thing. And then future pipeline, Riot will continue to build out data center division with future powered land acquisitions and developments. So we'll see first if they can secure something. All right. And this is Jonathan Gibbs here, Chief Data Center Officer. He definitely has the experience there. So that was a nice get for them at least. And then you can see here the Corsicana site here, 265 acres. They got 238 parcel, another 355 acre parcel as well. So they got definitely a lot of land there. I'm surprised that those are not connected somehow. They got that. They need to get something between them to connect them maybe. Right, maybe. What else? What else do we have here? I think that's it. We'll take a look at the numbers that I have for them. We'll discuss it. I'll give you guys my thoughts as well. And I think that's going to be it. So should be pretty short and sweet. Oh, we'll also take a look at the miners here on the 1 month and 3 months and 6 months and 12 months time frames to see how they're doing there. But let's take a look at Riot here first, and then we'll get into that. All right. So Riot, as of right now, has about, probably need to update this. They increased their number of shares. I forgot to update this here. This is as of Q1. Q2 went up a little bit, not much, about 12 million shares. All right, there we go. The stock price, $13.41 as of the close this afternoon. Gives them a market cap of about $5 billion. They do have 19,273 Bitcoin on hand. That's 2.2 billion or so, more or less. Current hash rate we know is 35. Well, they're saying 35.4. I've been 35.5. Future hash rate we know now is going to be 45, so about 10 exahash of growth. They are going to be buying some more micro BTs there as well. So that's good for micro BT and also really good for right here. All right, as far as quarterly results. So numbers did go up here a little bit for them from, actually went down, sorry. For Bitcoin mining, went down to 140.89 from 142.86 in Q1. I'm guessing it's partially due to curtailing and obviously the network hash rate going up as well. This current quarter, currently I'm estimating for Q3 for them to be about 143. If they install more machines or Bitcoin price goes up, that obviously can change, but also can change if Bitcoin price goes down for them. Last 4 quarters operating costs, self-mining depreciation. So stayed pretty flat, 78 from 74, not major change there. Cost of money, one Bitcoin minus depreciation, I'm at $48,960 dollars more or less. That's up from Q1. That's a result of network hash rate going up, obviously. Difficulty going up as well. Bitcoin mine quarterly, that came down to 1,427. I think they reported 1,426 there. So we're really close to that. Debt to equity increased to 0.1137. Obviously lower is better here. Current ratio higher is always better, but they're still at 1.3766, so I'm not too worried about their financial health, at least right now. Yes, we're going to be spending quite a bit here in the next few quarters to build out that hash rate growth there. So we'll see how that affects them. And then we have here total current assets, 516 million, total current liabilities, 374 million. So pretty good there, right? That's been coming down. They've also put their Bitcoin onto the longer term assets part of it. All right, going down here. We'll get into some of these numbers here in a second. Current assets, we talked about that. It's now 516 from 449. So that's at least an increase there. Total assets increased to 4.2 billion from 3.7 billion. So that's also good there. What did I see that was kind of high here, or big changes here? Big change debt current portion went up to 252 million from 314,000. That's mainly because of the purchases on miners, infrastructure, things like that. They're going to be upgrading. That's mainly because of that. So total current liabilities increased to 374 million from 139, and total, so that basically the same thing there. Total liabilities 989 million compared to 774,000. 700. Oh gosh, I can't talk. I got to slow down. 774 million. Big increase here for that is obviously the increase in here debt current portion of it. Right, that was a big increase on that part of it. And then they still have the, right here, debt less current portion, which is their convertible notes. That's in there as well. All right, so total stockholder equity with liabilities, you got 4.2 billion, and that's an improvement from the 3.7 billion that they had prior quarter. So that's good. Revenues here. Like I said, Bitcoin revenue went down a little bit to 140 million. I got to put more zeros probably in here. Get myself mixed up here. 140, almost 141 million there as it is. We got nothing from hosting, right? Because they basically kicked their host company, kicked their customer out and had to settle with them in a lawsuit. They bought them out. That was 140 million down below. We'll take a look at it here shortly. Engineering was down to 10.5 from 13.9 in the prior quarter. Other revenue was also down to 1.5 from 4.6. Total revenue came in 152 million from 161. So definitely a decrease there. Bitcoin mining was basically 92% of their revenue there as it is. All right, let's see here. Cost of revenues came in at 78 million. So this is for mining. Hosting was 0. Obviously, engineering was 9.8 million. I mean, they're making, what is that, roughly 10%, 20% margin on it, roughly 15%. Let's see, acquisition-related costs wasn't that much different. Other was down from 8.9 to 3 million here, but they only made on other revenue 1.5 million. So that's whatever they're doing other, stop it. You're not making any money on it. Why are you still doing it? Selling general administrative up to 75 million now, almost 76 from 71.5 roughly. So not a bad improvement or not a bad increase. I would say it's still an increase is an increase, but it's still not that bad. Depreciation amortization 83 million, and change in fair value Bitcoin value is 470 million there. Change in fair value of derivative asset, that was actually positive this time instead of negative last time. And then what else do we have here? That was a big change. Loss on contract settlement. Here it is, 158 million. So that was the, I think, what was it, Rhodium? Was the customer there, or was it somebody else? I can't remember. Whoever the customer was there, they settled with it. That was 158 million. And then they had put down a gain on acquisition post-close dispute settlement. So they have a positive there. I'm guessing just for the, maybe the site, the miners there that were there or whatever, heck, they're valuing that on. And let's see, total cost of expense was negative 63 million. Gross profit, operating income was 216 million at that point, largely due to the FASB impact on the HODL, right? 470 million there. On that one, what else do we have here that kind of stood out a little bit? I think that's it. So income loss before income tax was 219 million, and that gave us 65 cents for basic shares diluted, and diluted was 58 cents. Okay, now I did some back of the napkin math here. I took revenue minus mining costs minus SG&A, and then I added back in the electrical credits. So at that point, they were negative 4.8 million. All right. But I also looked at the share-based compensation, and that came in at 30 million. Whereas their SG&A was, where's their SG&A? 75 million. So still a very large portion of it. 30 million. Pretty high. 45 million roughly was just paying out in cash for salaries and things like that. Still really high. But 30 million was the SG&A portion of it. If I take that into account and take it out from the SG&A, looks like they would be positive 25.2 million here. So, right, that doesn't include SG&A, doesn't include depreciation, right? At that point, they would be at least, looks like cash flow positive on the Bitcoin mining operation side of things. So, but yeah, include everything else, and it doesn't look good. I mean, it looks good because of the FSB, but behind that, it's at least an improvement there. Looking at it over here on top, we can see, let me see here, cost of one Bitcoin was 48.9. We talked about that already. Debt to equity, we covered that along with current ratio. Book value of equity is 3.3 billion roughly. Price to book ratio 1.5. Enterprise value 3.5 almost also. EBITDA 306 million. EV to EBITDA 11.3. Debt to EBITDA 3.2. And then revenue here was 152. General administrative was a 75. Right, that's 49% of their revenue is their cost on SG&A. That's crazy. You got to get that fixed. It actually went up from the prior year, from the prior quarter actually. It's down from where it's been in the past, 78, right? But man, that's still got to come way down here. So they have not gotten to scale that. At this point, they should not be paying themselves so handsomely as well. They need to bring that sucker down, man. I'm almost tempted to say there should be like a law against this. That if you're not looking out for your shareholders, there's no reason for you to be making this kind of money, right? It's just, at this point, you're just enriching yourself at the expense of your shareholders. So there's got to be a fine line. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody tries suing them for it. I mean, we saw with Elon Musk, right? I mean, everything that he's created, and there were still investors that were pissed off that he got however many $1 billion package at that point. But I mean, how much has he created for the company and everything else, and how much is he going to create more for it in the long run? And yeah, their stocks have gone up quite nicely, but it's taken time. But it is what it is. Hopefully they get this resolved. They're working on it. Next year's second half of next year is going to be better. So in the meantime, they're still going to pilmage the piggy bank is what I want to say. All right, so that's it on it. We'll see where they go from there. Right now, they are at 1341. Based on the last 3 quarters and the current quarter that we're in, I'm in between $11.17 to $16.76. If we look forward, I still am pretty much the same thing, 1161 to 1741. So they're kind of fairly valued right now as it is. I think they'd be maybe valued a little bit better if they didn't have such high compensation, and management salaries weren't that high potentially. They were looking out more on the interests of the shareholders instead of themselves. But it is what it is. We'll see. With them growing to 45 exahash by the end of the first quarter in 2026, I think that's going to be good for them as well. That'll help them maintain the 4.5% of the network hash rate there, potentially. So that'll be good. And yeah, we'll see if they can get a deal for HPCI. We'll have to wait and see. There's a lot of interest in that. There's a lot of companies going for that. So there's stiff competition out there, you could say, on it. But again, tick tock. We're all waiting for it. All right. That is it. That's all I got for you guys on Riot here. Let's take a look at it really quick. I wanted to just kind of look over the miners here on the last month, 3 months, and then I pulled in some data from 6 months ago and 12 months ago. So if we look on the last month time frame for July, basically, Bitfarms actually did the best, surprisingly, 50% up. Right, Bitfarms was way beaten down because of Riot selling and everything else, but that one has done the best here. It's up 50%. So if you got into Bitfarms at the bottom there, you're doing pretty good. Hive was up 18.9. Also, another Canadian miner here doing pretty good here. Riot 18.6. Cipher up 14. Hut 8 up 14. BitTier up 12. IREN up 10% here in the last month. Bitcoin's up only 9%. Cleanspark's up 3. Marathon up 2. And then Kango's down 0.82. And CORZ Scientific obviously down 20. If you look at the last 3 months, I probably need to zoom this out a little bit, make it all fit. There we go. If we look at the last 3 months, then IREN, obviously the outperformer here, 163%, Cipher 91, Riot 85, Hut 8 up 72, Core up 67, Cleanspark 39, BitDeer 34, Hive 26, Bitfarms 26, Bitcoin's up 24. So we have at least majority of the miners here performing better or a lot better than Bitcoin has. Marathon and Kango trailing there. In the last 6 months, IREN is still up 95%, so that's the best performer there. Kango obviously is up 48%. That's about right around when they turned to becoming a Bitcoin miner, buying machines from hosted machines from Bitmain. Riot is up 44, Hut up almost 44 as well. Cleanspark up 42, Bitcoin's up 38% from that time frame. So these guys here at least outperformed a little bit, if not double, or actually like triple Bitcoin here. Cipher is only at 33, Core up 21, 15 for Marathon, 8% for Bitfarms, BitDeer up 4, and Hive up 3. But when we look at going back 12 months back, Kango at that point was not a Bitcoin miner at that point. They didn't start becoming a Bitcoin miner until November, December timeframe of last year. So discount this. I wouldn't include that in there maybe. Bitcoin's up 81%. So Bitcoin in the last year has outperformed the miners here. And you can see here the next closest one would be IREN, 50, almost 60% there. Hut 8, 45, BitDeer 41, and so on, so on. And Bitfarms is actually the worst performer, down 51% from where they were last year, along with Hive 41%, Cleanspark still down 30%, Marathon down 18% from last year. So on a longer time frame, the miners are getting their butts kicked by Bitcoin. On a shorter time frame, things are looking a little bit more positive for them as well. So I'm hoping that's going to continue here going forward into the next 4 or 5 months till the end of the year. But we shall see. All right, that's it. Spreadsheets will be available to all you guys on the Patreon side of things. I'll put those up. I'll upload those tomorrow for you guys as well. And if you want to join, link is down in the description. And let's get into the Q&A side of things. Here's what you guys have to say on any other stuff, if anything at all. As always, if you could preface the questions with a question mark or a Q, I would appreciate it. And Bitcoin's, let's see, showing Bitcoin's down at 115,905. Where's it at actually right now? It is at, let's see if we scroll up. Yeah, no, it's 115,893. All right, so that's right. That's showing it correctly. But actually, and this one's showing that I'm up. I think this one is just showing it from the beginning of that chart, wherever that is at. So that's right. On the daily right now, we are up just a little bit, 0.10%. So we bounced back up here on it. Right? Yep. Okay. Let's see, questions. Let me scroll up. I'm going to work my way down as always. I will get to your questions eventually. I did pop in a little bit late into the stream here, or at least on the chat. Like I said, I was trying to get things done before I go live. Let's see what we got here. What did I miss, if anything? Let's see. Metaplanet asks, hi Seb, what was the link for the salary of the CEOs when you compared Fred Thiel to Jensen from NVIDIA? Oh, I don't have that link anymore. But if you just search for, let me see if I can find it for you really quick. If you search for CEO salary 2024, it's going to be at aflcio.org, and it's /paywatch/highest-paid-CEOs. You can see it here. We can actually probably pull this up. Let's see. Here it is. You guys can possibly, let me see, maybe I'll do this one instead. You can see the link there. So there's a link for it. All right. You can see that. And they got a list of all of these CEOs there. I mean, you can search for them. Search for Riot, right? Riot last year. You can see you got 83 million basically with stock-based compensation. And if you look at NVIDIA, thing doesn't work that great. NVIDIA, let's see. Jensen Sound got 49 million. So actually Jason got more than NVIDIA CEO, right? So the pay packages don't quite align with what you're seeing out there. They are enriching themselves tremendously there. So yeah, you can take a look at that. All right, let's go back to the questions. Okay, talked about that one. Let's see. Meta also says Riot is pivoting away from HPC and increasing their exahash. I don't think they're pivoting. I think it's just the 125 megawatts that they have available to them from the old hosting customer. They're going to utilize that for Bitcoin mining. Maybe that place there is not that ideal for HPCI. See, Roger. Basically, I asked Seb last year if BTC is pumping hard to new all-time highs and Cleanspark is at $12. What would he do? He said he would sell last year if the scenario played out. Yeah, but Bitcoin didn't pump hard. I mean, we got to 108,000, right? But I didn't think that was it. We were still. This year is going to be the year that's going to be telling, right? Where do we get by the end of this year? Because typically this year would be the year that we have the major pump in Bitcoin based on previous cycles. So we'll see how the miners do, and at that point, we'll figure it out. Sell the miners and go into HPCI companies at that point. Go into also potentially quantum computing stocks as well, energy stocks. We'll have to look into all those things. See, Chris says, look at the earnings report of MicroStrategy, red coin, super red, and Riot, super red, Mara also red, very bad. And it's supposed to be the best earnings release, junk. Things are red, Bitcoin's down, so I think that's pushing everything down though. What else we got here? John, okay. John Kurtz. Hey, Seb, Applied and Meta saved me today, but since the majority of the tech has finished earnings, we have no catalyst to go higher. Tell me I'm wrong. Well, I think we might still go higher in time. I got a sneeze coming up. My allergies are starting to kick back in. Hopefully it goes away. Bitcoin going up is going to be a good catalyst for, obviously, for these guys. AI, I think, is just going to continue to go forward as well. There's no stopping that train. So just be in it, right? Dollar cost average in, and you'll do pretty well. What else we got here? John Kurt says, Seb Sauer has my number one king crown again. What's up with that? You got to comment more, I guess? Guy says, I like how the Chris's are just arguing with themselves. Let's see. All right, John Kurt says, CNBC News article states there's a straight jacket for a... All right, come on, you guys be nice. Let's see. Lucian says Ethereum and Bitcoin negative in after hours. Actually, they're up a little. Well, Bitcoin's up a little bit. At least it was a couple of minutes ago. I'm not sure where Ethereum was at that point. Let's see, Roger's got a question here. BTC pumping hard, break 200,000, Cleanspark 15. What's your next move? Sell out of Cleanspark at that point, right? It's just these things are not going to run at that point. I think from a move from here where we are right now, 115,000, 118, whatever it is, and we go up to 200,000. Cleanspark's still at 15. Yeah, I'm still in profit. I'm not going to be in profit as nicely as I would have wanted to be, but I'm still in profit. So, I mean, I'll sell and go on to something else. What else? All right. Kitewins asks, what is a gap? Why would one need to be filled? Okay. So if we look at the chart for Bitcoin here, let's go over here. The gaps happen usually on weekends, from Friday to Monday, right? CME futures gaps, that's when they occur. You can also have a gap happen overnight as well on those. They're a little bit more rare than what we see here over the weekend. So if Bitcoin pumps hard or falls a lot, you might see a gap happening here. So we have a gap that happens. This was back on July 10th, was a Friday or Thursday. And then on the following day, Friday, we actually saw this happen here, where Bitcoin pumped pretty hard here, right? And we have a gap. Those gaps tend to be filled. Not always, but a large portion of the time they do get filled. We saw gaps back here as well if we were going up. See this gap over here? This was back in November of 2024. We had a gap on, this was, let's see here, Friday to a Monday. We saw that happening here. That got filled. It took a while for it to get filled, but it got filled in March of 2025. But they do like to get filled. We had a gap here as well, a smaller one. This was again on Friday to Monday there, or Tuesday, whenever we started trading, or Monday. So we had that gap, but that gap got filled like within a couple of days there. We had a gap on the way down over here. This was also on, let's see, this was on a Monday and a Tuesday. We obviously had a big crash there on the CME futures, and we had a gap there. That gap got filled. You can see these kind of gaps happening. We do have a little gap, I think, here. This kind of got filled here almost, but this was on April, and this was on a Tuesday. We had obviously Bitcoin probably pumping pretty hard into a Wednesday night, and we have a small gap here. So, like I said, these gaps do like to get filled over time. Not all the time, but they do like to get filled. So that's kind of what happens there. And you can kind of see, if you see a gap there, there's a high likelihood that it's going to get filled. So you can kind of see, well, we might be coming back down to that, fill that gap, because the powers that be in the CME, futures for Bitcoin, don't want to leave those gaps open, right? They don't like it when things run beyond their control. And they will take it down to spank those that brought it out of their control and teach them a lesson, and then they go back up. So that's kind of what it is. That's kind of the way I view it right now on it. Okay, let's go back here. All right, Sadie, as always, thank you so much. Likes definitely do help the channel. Let's see. Ben says, it's all going to be fine. Some solid buy opportunities, 136 very soon, very, very soon. I agree. I think anytime you get a nice dip in Bitcoin here recently is a buying opportunity. All right, Dynamite. Did you see Applied up 30% today? Yeah, I saw that. That one had a nice run up today. It had pretty good earnings. I think that's the reason why it went up. Roger, since the bear market bottom, no miner has beaten MicroStrategy or BTC except IREN. Let that sink in. Yes, but we're also not through the typical end of the cycle, right? So let's see where they end up at by December, November, December of this year. Let's see where they end up then. And then we'll see if it's similar or not. Let's see here. Fairfax says, I'm close to buying more of Cleanspark. Cleanspark definitely came down here in the last couple of days. Chris says, no extended cycle. Bull market is almost done. I don't agree with you there, buddy. Let's see. Red months seem lesser and lesser. Can agree with you there as well. Let's see. Roger says, if miners don't get that outperformance similar to last cycle, it's better not to buy miners at all and just hold Bitcoin, less risk, same returns, or buy MicroStrategy. I would agree with you. Yeah. Right? The reason that at least the reason I'm in the miners was because of the performance of them last cycle, but we also have a lot more on-ramps for Bitcoin this time around, ETFs, MicroStrategy, others that are getting into it, so it's been more diluted here. Plus we have the hype with HPCI this time around, so it's not working out, at least up to this point, it's not working out the same as it has in the past. Now, depending when you got into them, you still might be in the positive, and quite nicely, you might still be up, if you got into IREN at the bottom, you could be up still over 1,000%. So depending on who, right? Some of these guys are still up from their bottoms close to 400, 500% as well. It's just a matter of when you got into them. All right. The astronomer travels question here. Any reason for the sell-off or just sell the news because we got so much good news today and this week? I think it was mostly the tariffs that spooked the market here. That the end of the month as well, last day, right? Let's drive things down, start out a little bit lower for the new month. We can go up higher from there. Mike Kite Win says, mining will continue to be profitable. These stocks will outperform. Energy cost is a weakness, but I bet against that being a problem. Yeah. All right. Fairfax, tariffs bad. They're not that bad, but anytime he puts tariffs out, that's going to have an impact on the market. And maybe it's a good way for him to buy more Bitcoin and his family potentially, right? Bring things down a little bit, get a nice entry point again. All right. Let's see. Riot's waiting for 2026 to stop absurd stock-based compensation because bear market year. If we have a bear market, right? Yeah. Let's see. Ben's got a question here. Can you poll your subscribers and ask how many are actually interested in ETH treasury companies? I tune in for Bitcoin miner alpha, not vaporware, shipcoin content. Sure, I can put that up there. Let's see here. All right. Okay, we'll do a poll. Are you interested in ETH treasury companies? Are you interested in ETH TRE treasury comps? All right, start the poll. Let it go. That's what you guys have to say. If you guys are not interested in ETH treasury companies, I won't talk about them. Let's see. Dynamite says, Riot's saying a lot of words just to imply they have no customer for HPCI yet, lefting my butt off. It's a lot of these companies, unfortunately, at least right now, right? There's a lot of talk, a lot of hype, but no contracts. We'll see. All right. Mortim says, Mar and Riot management really seem like parasites. I don't own either. That's partially why I don't own them either, but it's also operations, the cost for their compensations I don't like. So there's other reasons why I'm in it, not just because of that, but that's part of it. I wouldn't say they're parasites, but I think they're trying to enrich themselves more so than they are the shareholders there. Excuse me. Sorry, trying to find a question here. Gary's got a question. Who mined more coins in July, Mara, or Cleanspark? I don't know. I know it's going to be close. I don't know where they ended up at. At one point, I think Cleanspark was ahead. I'm not sure where they are right now. Excuse me. Gosh, throat. Hold on. I had to clear my throat. All right, that should be better. Hopefully, we can get some water as well. Let's see. Sarmelon says Mara's on cost 162,000. What were the final numbers for which one? What are we talking about there? Mortim, what about Cleanspark announcing to halt a growth after 62x hash to focus on hodl growth and put to rest dilution that fears after 24? 62 seems enough for this cycle. Maximize stock price. I don't think they'll do that. Maybe for one reason, at least I wouldn't do it, is if we have an extended cycle, what Bitcoin does go to like 180, 200,000 this year. And then next year goes up to 280, 350, whatever it might be. And then the following year it continues to go up, right? So I don't know if you would pause at that point. I think you would still, with the margins that they're going to have at that point, Bitcoin gets to like 200, 250,000, 300,000, whatever it might be. Margins are going to be huge for them. I think they're just going to continue to plow into it and maybe not dilute as much, but they can use the money that they're generating from Bitcoin mining itself to buy new sites, build out sites, increase their hash rate that way as well. Let's see here. Okay, talked about that one. I went too far. Sarmelon says Fred's annual salary $43 million. That includes stock-based compensation. Yeah. Neil says, yeah, it's better for Mara to buy the coins in open market considering their cost of production. But that's with compensation and depreciation as well. Talked about that one. Let's see. Again, BTC will explode much more soon. Again, BTC 150,000 by September 22nd. All good miners will 3x from here. Daryl, I love your optimism, man. I hope that's the case. Let's see here. Daryl says tomorrow will be a fantastic opportunity to buy miners. Cleanspark, IREN, Riot, Mara, and Hive will be on the menu. Keep dollar cost averaging people until the third week of September. Okay. Daryl, I hope you're like the insider of something and you know a lot more than we do. I hope that works out that way. And if it does, I'll buy you a nice steak or something for dinner. Let's see. Here's the other question. Cleanspark stock price drops to 24 to 11. Now after the last 800 ATM, no reason to do another one. No accrued dilution with them. At least, yeah, I mean, right now they're not doing any dilution, which is good. Let's see, Roger says MicroStrategy estimated price or EPS per share, $32, expected was 16 cents. Yeah, I know. Analysts were way off on that one. What else? All right, Gary's got a question here. Huge SBC with Mar and Riot is nothing new. People keep buying them, and Bitcoin miners and analysts ignore cost per coin and only factor in coins mined into their price predictions so things don't change, potentially. Let's see. John's got a question. Would you buy Coinbase, basically, had a bad earnings report as this is part of the reason miners are down? No, for them it was... I didn't listen to it all. I listened to part of it, so correct me if I'm wrong here, but part of it was something to do with the hack that they had there and something else. Part of it. What was the other one that was kind of like, that was quite a bit of an expense there? I'm not sure what it was. But I don't think that was the case. I think it's just the tariffs, really. What freaked everybody out here. Dynamite Uber, do you think these doofus CEOs and Riot are giving the whole BTC mining sector a bad rap with the investors? I think it does. To be honest, I think it does, right? Them paying themselves as much or higher than some of the CEOs of $1 trillion companies, not a great look. Let's see. Chris says all miners are a scam. Cleanspark buys Jet. Jet I can agree with, right? If the economics are there for it to make sense and it actually is less costly for them to do it than buying, airline seats, whatever it is, the time spent on terminals and everything else, and if you can get in and get out between the many different sites that they have, I'm okay with it. Plus, if they can rent it out the other time that's not being used, make money that way also, then why not? Let's see. DeFi says Google seems undervalued. PE ratio only 20 and so much growth ahead. Still thoughts? I think the concern there is they're cannibalizing their own search ad revenue, right? That's, I think, the concern there. So once I think investors see how they are actually using AI to the advantage of making more revenue, I think the floodgates are going to open at that point. But Gemini is freaking awesome. I use it. I paid for it, actually. You got a couple of tiers. You got a free tier, I think. You got one for like $20, I think is another tier. That's the one I'm in for per month. And then they have like a $200 tier as well, which you get a lot more out of it, but I don't need that much. So companies and things like that might want to use that because you can do so much with it. And it's only the beginning of it. So I think it still has great potential there. Okay. All right, Sean, question here. Are you considering taking some profits on your mining stocks now and buying back in Q4? Market sentiment seems weak, and many are expecting a downturn over the next month or so. It could do that, or it could actually go up. Historically, August has been a pretty good month for Bitcoin in these bull cycle periods like we are right now. Right, 2021, 2017, we saw good months for that. September, however, has been a pretty bad month for Bitcoin historically. So that's maybe when, depending where we end up by the end of August, and if we're up nicely, maybe I'll take some profits, maybe, just to kind of maybe protect against what might happen in September. But then again, then after that, we go up in October, November again. So maybe buy a little bit or sell a little bit at the end of August, buy in September on the dips, and then see where we end up at. Maybe do something like that. I don't know. Thoughts on BTC from here? You called it last week. Yeah, I mean, I did say that we could possibly go and fill the gaps here. We did kind of do that. I think right now, I think we're going to be okay. Based on just what I saw here happening in the last couple months, at the end of the month, we saw Bitcoin pretty much dip before the end of the month, and we're seeing the same thing happening right now. So I think if that repeats, we might be going up here afterwards. May go flat for a little bit, but I think we're going back up. Again, we could go down a little bit lower to like 114,100 something like that, where we fully fill that gap, but it got close to filling the gap today. Chuck's got a question. What are your thoughts on Mara's strategy on when they plan on selling their BTC? What is their strategy? I mean, they said opportunistically and economically when it's viable for them to do so, they will do so, right? We haven't seen that. I mean, they did sell some back in 2024 and in 2023 as well. I think they sold for, 8, 10, 12 months or something like that. They sold through that time, and then they started to hodl hard sometime in last year, and they just kept going with it. So I don't know. It's up to them, right, how they're going to do it. I'm not a big fan of that, where you hodl everything and dilute shareholders to do it, because right now we're not seeing any kind of premium on that hodl position as it is. Let's see, Mortem says, Bo Hines talked about the Feds buying Bitcoin in April, but there's been no action of any kind. Why are Bo Hines and David Sachs even there? They don't seem to do anything. Well, you need to get laws enacted. So we got to go through the House, the Congress, the Senate. All that has to be done. The president has to sign something, and then they can do it, right? They need to change some stuff in Treasury as well, I think, maybe. But it takes time. So, and I know that Cynthia Loomis there is working on something. Hopefully we get something by the end of the year. We'll see. All right. Tom's got a question here. What was with Hut 8 today? They were up pretty good. Yeah, they were up pretty good. I'm not sure. There's nothing, no news, no nothing as far as a reason for it, other than maybe them being down for the last couple of days. Maybe that's, getting a little bounce there. Okay. Regine SC, I think that's how you pronounce it. Question: if so many miners turn to HPC, who's going to do all the mining? Also, when the government or big companies help support miners if they are not doing well, doesn't anyone realize we need miners? Yeah, I mean, we definitely need miners, right? But how many miners do you need? If miners come offline, the difficulty will adjust at that point. Network hash will come down, and you'll get new entrants into it. So, I mean, the guys are still mining here, and you don't really need to increase the network hash rate there at all. You can have it at where it's at right now, flat. If everybody just says, we are done, right? They do a consortium, kind of like OPEC or something like that. Bitcoin miners, OPEC. Basically, they say, this is what we're putting out, and that's it, right? We're not growing our hash rate any further. We're not increasing. We're just going to stay flat right there. Nothing would change. Bitcoin would still operate the same way it does. The only thing that would happen is, Bitcoin would go up. They'd become more profitable, and at that point, they could all say, we're increasing our exahash by 10, 20%, whatever it is. That brings up the cost as well, and then they could do that. But it's not going to happen, though. But there's no concern of Bitcoin having issues because of it. If anything, it'd be better for the miners that do get out of it, that are still mining, because the network hash rate will go down, the difficulty will go down as well. They will be more profitable at that point. All right. Roger, just got a question here. Do you think miners will perform well in alt season since BTC is usually flat or outperformed? I suspect miners will lag too if alt season. If we go in alt season. I don't know if we will. Based on what we are seeing here, at least this season, this cycle, alts have underperformed Bitcoin for the most part. Just, not all of them, but majority of them, right? Bitcoin dominance is still high. So I don't know. Ed's got another question here. Which mining companies do you think will still be around in the next cycle? I think the bigger guys, the guys that are at least above, I would say 10, 15 exahash, those guys will be around. Some of the smaller miners might have a harder time. We're already seeing some of those having a hard time right now as it is. Griffin got basically a lifeline through America BTC. Sphere 3D Annie is basically, I would say, barely scraping by. Same thing with Argo, right? So a couple of those might be out. Trying to see who else would be in that boat as well. I think that's it, the ones that at least that I know of right now. There might be others in there that are private that we don't know about. Let's see here. Question: I agree. We need miners because they actually do the digging and finding of the actual Bitcoin, to put in layman's terms. Yeah, I mean, we do need them, but they don't need to grow, right? As long as nobody else is growing, they don't need to grow as well. Okay. Neil, why is a Bitcoin and Sailor's company valued worth so much more than a BTC I buy myself? Good question, right? So that's why I say I don't think it should. I think if anything, it could maybe get a little bit of a premium. I would say 1.2x premium at the very most. The only time you could see it go up from there is if you believe Bitcoin's going to go up in value, 2x, then maybe they can get to 1.5x or something like that. That's the only way I could see it. But it should be for a certain period of time, and then it should come back down to reality as well. But yeah, these guys have been a proxy in the past here. Less so now that we have the ETFs, and I think maybe that's why. But yeah, that's kind of the way I look at it also. Rogue Koala here. Much more interested in the AI and quantum opportunities going forward. Plenty of other channels cover Ethereum, Sol, BTC, Treasury. Okay, company. And 56% of you guys are not interested in Ethereum companies, so maybe we'll just talk about it if something major happens there. But I don't really usually spend a lot of time on it. I just cover it during the first segment where we go over the Bitcoin miners and we go over everything else that happened there. So it's not like we cover a lot of time on it as it is. But we can always change. I'm not set to anything. And personally, I'm not investing in Ethereum Treasury companies either, so it doesn't really have any impact on me. Private, when do you think Cleanspark will start taking off, getting to 20 and beyond? Bitcoin's got to go up. I think that's the only way it's going to go up from here. No dilution, which is great. They're continuing to grow, which is also great. We'll see what their numbers come in for their quarterly results, which is going to be on the 7th or the 8th of August. We'll see how it does at that point. Neil's got a question here. Have you heard anything Bitfarms has power back in Argentina? I have not. Maybe we'll get an update when they do release their quarterly results. We'll find out at that point. All right. Let's see. Gary is asking, who will be the first miner to report July numbers? Well, surprisingly enough, Mara was like the first one to report beginning of July. for June. So we'll see if they're still going to be the ones. Yeah, typically it was Bitfarms, right? That always had the stuff ready, which was great. Sean, a question. You may have touched on this before, but are you considering to diversify some BTC mining to Ethereum treasury stocks, given that many of them are already trading near or below their MNAV or NAV? No, I'm not. If I was going to buy Ethereum, I'd buy Ethereum directly. I wouldn't go through a treasury company, right? I know it's probably easier for people to do that are not maybe as tax savvy to go with these Ethereum treasury companies, and I think maybe that's why they're getting a little bit of premium. Then having to go on exchanges, and then take the coins off the exchanges, put them in your hardware wallets. It's a little bit more involved, and some people are just not that tax savvy. All right. Let's see. Private. Cleanspark haven't even passed $12 and kept it in their rearview mirror. Does this concern you, or just be patient and it will happen? Their time to shine will come. Thanks. Yeah, I think it'll happen. Just be patient. Again, it all depends on Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up, I think they're going to do fine. If Bitcoin stagnates around these levels and we hold there for a couple months, we could see the miners going down even more. The other option is Bitcoin does go down, and that was it, right? So I still believe that Bitcoin's going to go up, though, so I'm holding on. We'll see. Let's see. All right, covered that already. Let's see here. Heinze, question. In my opinion, Amazon dropping after hours after beats makes me think things are getting frothy. Will this transition and affect BTC alt miners? Still a good idea to DCA? I think it is. If we do get pullbacks, if we have a little bit of correction, how much is the correction going to be? 5-10% of the market, roughly, right? And then you got people saying that maybe in September we'll get the rate cuts as well. So that's going to be a money printer going, right? Long term, I think we're going to be fine. Short term, it's going to be a bumpy ride. It's never going to be green days from here to eternity. Let's see. Gary says, question, HUT 8 went up with HPC plays. They are no longer stuck with miners getting dragged down regularly. Why everyone wants to avoid Bitcoin miners tag as it prevents growth? Don't know. I mean, I know why I'm in them, but I'm also diversified. I have pure play, Cleanspark, and then I have one that's also Bitcoin and HPCI potential. IREN, right? Two of the best of pretty much both worlds there, I think. Let's see, Sarmelin says altcoins are junk. Majority of them, right? There's maybe a handful that are pretty good. I would say maybe 2 handfuls that are pretty good. The rest are kind of junk. Let's see. Where would you say the buying zone is on Cleanspark? If Bitcoin bumps up from here, it will be perfect timing with earnings coming up. I mean, right now is a good time to buy in as well. Depending on your cost average, right? If your cost average is a little higher or something like that, buying in right now wouldn't be bad. I think let's take a look at Cleanspark here, see where we are with it. Let's go here. Let's go to Cleanspark. I mean, I think there's some support right around here, right around $11 or so, right? That's pretty good. Obviously, we got to like close to 14. We definitely come back down. After that, if we go down even lower, I think somewhere around the $10 range. There's probably some good support there as well. So that's kind of the lines where I'd be looking at 11, 10. And then see if we can bounce off of that. We can also see if we can maybe bounce off the 50. We did bounce off of it here, bounced off of it there as well. So if it comes down to the 50 SMA, that'd be about 1073. Look at it for over there someplace, possibly. All right, go back here. I think I'm getting close to catching up with your guys' question. Tom's got a question here. Seb, what do you think of DigiPower, formerly Digihost? I haven't done any research into them lately. In the last, I would say probably 6 months or so. I know that they are partnering with one of the SMRs there to do a test site, but I don't know anything else beyond that. I'm not sure how they've been doing, so I couldn't really tell you. Do you see Bitfarms mining BTC next cycle? Yeah, I do think so. Yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't be. I know that they have aspirations for HPC ideal, like a lot of guys do, but yeah, I mean, Bitcoin goes up, they're going to be profitable making money on that. So, yeah. Victor says, thanks for covering Ethereum treasury companies. Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, things are happening in that space. Why not? TX Robinhood says Cleanspark earnings are on August 11th now. Okay. That might have changed. Let me see here. Cleanspark we had here saying it is on August 7th. Sorry. So I had it off. I thought it was August 8th. But here it is. Where's it at? There it is. Right there. Thursday, August 7th. That's when that's going to happen. All right, so we'll definitely cover it at that point. Let's go back here. Okay. 4J, I can't pronounce it, sorry. I'm doing well tomorrow by buying back quite a few minor contracts. Okay, nice. Brian's got a question. Any insights when Sol will have their spot ETFs approved? I thought it would be very soon. Not so sure. That I don't know. To be honest with you, I have no idea. Gary, question. No Wall Street hates miners, so all miners get dragged down regardless if they do well or not. HUT 8 went up with CoreWeave. IREN tagged a miner and dropped. Sucks, but it's what happens. Okay. I mean, that could be part of it, yeah. And then Neil's got a question. What do you think of OG whales from 10 years ago are selling their stash now at this point in time? I mean, listen, if you're going to be making $9 billion, whatever it is, I do not wish anyone bad tidings or anything like that because they did that. It's $9 billion. Look, $9 billion is going to set you up and your family for, millennia, potentially, if it's done right, if you don't squander it and you actually invest in it and things like that going forward. So you're going to be set there for no problem. So I have no bad will or anything like that to anybody that does that. The guy held on from, 10 years ago, whatever it was, 10, 13 years ago, and he raked in a nice paycheck. Can't wish anything ill on that. I think a lot of people would have done better doing that as well than trying to trade it. Just buy it and hold. That's not easy to do because of all the volatility that we've seen here in the past, but maybe going forward it won't be as bad. So yeah, I mean, I wish him all the best there and his family. That's a lot. Talked about that. Mr. X here. When is IREN earnings? What's your opinion? Will it go green or red like Riot today? IREN's earnings are going to be probably not till the end. I'm guessing here. The reason I'm guessing that not until the end of August is because it's their fiscal year end quarter for them. Q2 for us is their fiscal year end. So all that numbers has to be audited by auditors, right? So it always takes time. So I'm guessing maybe middle to end of August we should start seeing that come out. See, Neil says, actually, the $9 billion worth of Bitcoin may have been obtained from a 2011 hack. I know that there were Satoshi era coins. So somebody that was maybe mining at that point, or so I heard somebody bought like $53,000 worth at whatever it was at that point, at $2 or something like that. I don't know. So I don't know. Don't know the full details of it. Let's see here. Sean, if he did sell the entire stack, it's not bullish, LOL. Could have sold half the stack and still been set for generations. Or it could have been that, this guy passed away. Here's the coins and his trust there. A bunch of dum-dums are like, holy cow, we're living in trailers. Now we got $9 billion. Sell it, right? So that's what you get. If you don't have educated people operating it there, you're going to have people that are going to sell it. Because it is, heck, if you're living in, I'm not saying that was the case, but I'm just saying if you're living in a trailer down by the river or something like that, and your pops passes away and you got $9 billion because of it, what are you going to do? You're going to sell it. And hopefully they do something right with it where they don't waste it and blow it and then be bankrupt in 5-10 years. So we'll see. All right, but that's it. Cut up to all you guys' questions here. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. First day of August. Hard to say, but man, time's flying by. We'll see whatever happens at that point, and we'll obviously talk about it as well. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you all for coming in as always. Hope you guys have a great Friday. Hope you guys enjoy it. Weekend is almost upon us again. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.